Hello and welcome to the Android OS guide. This is a bonus chapter, chapter 12, as to securing your device. So this is some bonus content you're going to be finding from the main course of the guide. This is just featuring some big security tips when you're getting your Android device, things to consider when you're on Android, what you're exposed to, and how you can protect yourself and your data against it. So Android security. Overall, with an open environment on Android, this leads for good and bad. The good, there's a lot of expansion, innovation, there's a lot of great customization and root access that you get over your device. However, this does leave some leaks and some security holes, whereas there's a lot of things that can kind of come into the app market. There's malware, there's vulnerabilities, and since you have so much access, there are points where you can actually put your device and make it vulnerable. So the reason, obviously, Android security and making sure your device is in tip-top shape and protected against the bad guys is it secures your data. Your data is valuable, whether that's personal info and all of that. And there's a variety of methods to do this. There's tons of software you can get within the Play Store from big names, and we'll be taking a look at some of those apps. And of course, there's just so many different ways to do this, as from protecting your device, of course, physically, and that of the software angle, because your device overall contains a ton of data. It can contain passwords, which can also contain other things like app info, which may contain your banking or personal information like your address, credit card numbers, all that stuff that you wouldn't want out there in the world. Now, when it comes to security, there are two layers to it. The physical layer, whereas if somebody was to get physical access to your device, how do you protect it against that? Because when somebody has physical access to your device, there's a lot of different ways that they can get in and get access to your data. So that's obviously key and important. If you ever to lose your device, how do you get that back, or how do you know where it's at? Also, the software layer. If they're trying to crack into the software, whether remotely or with physical access, how do you protect not just the OS but your data, the apps, etc.? So we're going to be taking a look at a couple of options here. We're going to walk you through a device and trying to show you how to implement some of these options here. We're going to talk about built-in options that are just kind of stock within Android that you can do to heighten your security, how you can go about locking your apps in general. So if you want to use a third-party app to lock your apps and add security to them, that way if you want to do it for your banking apps and any data-sensitive apps, you can do that. The importance of app permissions and understanding that. Antivirus applications, we talked a little bit about that earlier. We're going to highlight one that we talked about in the main course, which is Avast. There's many out there. Radios and the importance of turning those off at times, and also just tracking your device, keeping it in case that you ever lose it or it's in theft. The importance of tracking your device as well. And again, if you want more detail on tracking your device and antivirus, we talked about that in the main course. So with that, we're going to jump right into the demo, show you guys a simulated device, and talk a little bit about these options. All right, so here we have the Android device. Here we are on the Galaxy S4 4.2.2. And first off, we're going to talk about built-in options when it comes to security. So by going into your settings for Android, there are some built-in options that you can use to help keep your device secure. If you go into the personal tab and then click on security, you have a lot of options here, and we want to talk a lot about those because these are built-in. These are things anybody can do without having to download any third party, as long as you're in the latest Android software version. First off, screen lock. You want to set a screen lock. If you want to set a pattern, PIN, or password, there's multiple options here for you to set a screen lock. This helps preventing against physical access. Even if somebody has physical access to your phone, they'll need to know a pattern or a PIN number, so that can be a 4-digit number, whatever it may be, and or an alphanumeric password. You can choose whatever works for you, and that's all up to personal preference, but having this is a really, really big step to protecting your device physically, whether it's lost, stolen, whatever. Then they need to have this certain amount of information to get in. And again, you can set a PIN here, you can set a password, you can set a pattern, as we mentioned before, so you can do a little screen lock pattern. As long as you remember it, it's a really great layer of security for physical access to your device. Additionally, here you can see things like encryption. You can require a PIN or numeric password to decrypt your phone each time you power it on. Again, a very, very high level of security there. And if you have really, really work-sensitive data or personal data, this may be an option for you. You can also have this to change passwords if you want them visible or not. Ideally, you may want to turn that off. That way, if you ever have somebody looking over your shoulder or whatever it may be, they can't see your password when you're inputting it. Device administration, you also have options here to things like verify app. You can allow apps installations from unknown sources. We're going to get talking about this in app permissions. Essentially, this means if you want to download apps from third party that's outside of the Play Store and things of that nature, or things that aren't digitally signed, you can check that. You also have things like trusted credentials here and install from SD card. You can install certificates from SD cards. Again, this is just dealing with extra and external storage. So these are a lot of built-in options that you can do just right off the bat to help secure your device. Additionally, we talked in the main course about backing up, and this is really important as well. Keeping your data backed up, whether it's third party or just the default backup. It's very, very important using the built-in options to back up your data and keep everything secure in the case that your device is ever damaged or broken into and you have a backup of that data. You wouldn't want your device to be stolen and then you don't have those precious pictures, videos, so on and so forth. So again, it's really important to back up your data as well. All right, let's get to talking about locking your applications. There's a lot of different third-party ways you can do this, but if you head into the Play Store, so you're going to head into your Google Play Store, and there is a third-party app that you can use to lock your applications. You can actually just search lock your app here, and you will find a whole bunch of different ones here, App Lock, App Master Lock. So again, it's worthy to check some of these out as well. So what these do, for example, if I click on this one, you can see basically you can add an application, and manually here you'll see an app list, and then you can choose which apps that you want to add a passcode to. So rather than just having a passcode to your whole device, you can add a passcode per app, and things like this have multiple settings here that you can use. You can even have a recovery email in case you forget your app lock. So again, things like this one is a lock, app lock. This is completely free. It's definitely worth checking the Google Play Store to find which one works for you, but this is really, really great. You can do it with your social networking apps like Facebook. You can do it with your banking apps. Anything that you don't want people getting into, even if they have physical access to your phone, you can lock specific apps only. It's a really great way to add another layer of security. While we're here, I want to talk about app permissions. So when you go to install an app, if I click install here on the Google Play Store, it tells you what the app has permission and needs access to before you hit accept. Now, it's really important from a security perspective to understand what you're giving apps access to and understanding when it's okay and when it's not okay. For example, like if it's apps like Facebook, that's probably going to require a lot of access to your data, and you got to decide whether you want to give it that access or not. If you really use Facebook and you want the app, then you're probably going to need to accept. But keeping in mind, Android shows you here what it needs access to. So you can see here it needs access to device, app, and history, and then it explains what this means. It allows the app to view one or more of information about activity on the device, which apps are running, browsing history, and bookmarks. Phone permissions. It allows uses one or more of phone call log changes may apply, or charges may apply, I should say, Wi-Fi and connection and information and all this stuff. This doesn't exactly mean the app is going to call people on your device or it's going to save your contact information, but it does have permission to access that and view it. So again, you need to understand these app permissions, the importance of reading through them, and what you're comfortable and uncomfortable with an app having access to. At the end of the day, this is a personal preference and all up to you. Once you're done, you can hit that accept button and install said application and then go about using it, whatever it may be. Again, there's a lot of different ways you can lock your apps. This is just one of them I'm showcasing here. So you can see here I've installed this one. I can open it, and it has its own little settings here. You can add your emails, all that good stuff. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about antivirus apps. On this device right here, I have Avast installed, which I showcased in the main course. So Avast is one of the options, but you have a ton of different options within the Play Store for you to choose. Avast Anti-Theft has a lot of great settings that you can use completely free. There is a pro version for you to check out, but this just helps protecting against malware and all that good stuff. So if I go into the Play Store, there's a whole bunch of different antivirus. You can even just type that in, antivirus, and look for a lot of the great ones out there in the Play Store. AVG is a really big name. McAfee, so you can use whatever you see fit. But these are great ways to make sure your mobile device is safe from viruses, malware, spyware, and theft. Just like a desktop computer or laptop, you can install while you're on the web here on your mobile device. Since Android is very open, it allows you to install multiple files from your browser, all that good stuff. That means that you can potentially install viruses that may affect your phone. So this can look at all that stuff. This can look at what how your status of your device is. You can see in things like AVG, they have app lock, app backup built into it. You can even wipe your device or wipe SD card or data by category. So it's worth checking out some of the pro versions for this. When it comes to security, again, remember that investing in security, investing in a pro app or a pro subscription is worth it in the sense that your data is priceless in that sense. So again, definitely worth picking an app of your choice, picking whatever works for you, and finding a antivirus or anti-malware software and app that works with your device. Next up, when it comes to security when you're out and about, radios. Keeping in mind that your device has all sorts of radios and turning those off when you don't need it. Not only does that help with battery life, but that helps in a security aspect. So if you have Wi-Fi on or Bluetooth, or if your device supports NFC, keeping in mind turning those radios off when you're not using them can help. For example, if your device is in Bluetooth mode and it's in discovery mode, people can find a way to connect devices and do all sorts of different things and methods to get access or find a way to do some sort of harmful thing to your device. So turning off radios when you're not using them is very, very useful. Wi-Fi may even be a thing to turn off. And again, this is a good trade because it saves battery life overall. Even things like NFC, near field communication. This is a thing that is on some Android devices where they come near an NFC device and it's able to exchange data. You don't want that being on if you're not using NFC, and in some case there may be some sort of hardware or whatever it may be. There's all sorts of different implementations. This isn't a very likely thing, but if you are a target or if somebody's trying to get your information, they can use Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and all these different things to get access to your device and information while you're using it. A big thing is Wi-Fi, because if you think of it, let's say you're using a public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop or whatever it may be. If you're using an unsecured network, that's something else to consider. Don't be browsing the web and using banking information and purchasing with your credit card on Wi-Fi that you're not really comfortable with, or you think that is not secured, because in that case people can be snooping your packets and be picking up information throughout the air. It may be useful to check out VPN and using something like a virtual private network. This way that it can mask your when you're browsing the web in a public area, it can mask your data and make sure it's secure. Definitely worth checking that out. Definitely worth investing in looking up VPN and using that when you're in public Wi-Fi to keeping yourself safe when you're browsing the network. Last but not least, tracking your device. In the event that your device is stolen or lost or whatever it may be, we talked about this in the core chapter, investing in some sort of app that tracks your device. I used Where's My Droid in the main course. Using something like this is very, very useful. You can see this has a pro version for $3.99, and it gives you access to camera control, remote lock, remote wipe, hide the app icon, customize ringtone, all this good stuff. Very, very useful, because this means when somebody steals your device, you can turn on the camera, you can remotely lock it, you can remotely wipe the device, you can use GPS to find out the location of the device. In this case, I showcased Where's My Droid in the main thing, but again, when it comes to securing your device, this is a really, really, really big line of defense. If somebody steals your device, if somebody gets access to it and you don't know where it is, this allows you to browse from the web, from their service, and find out where it is. Very, very, very useful. And again, it's something that you may not think you need, but at the end of the day, if something is ever to happen to your device or it's stolen or whatever it may be, this is something that can come in handy and get that device back to you, and most importantly, keep your data safe and secure. All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed this bonus content on securing your Android device and some of the measures and practices you can take into effect to making sure your data is secure and making sure that your private information or personal information doesn't get out there and leak into the world when you're browsing the web and using your Android device. Overall, these aren't things that you have to implement every little thing. You don't have to go overboard, but it is good practice to implement a majority of them into your everyday use. They're very easy to do, and they're very running in the background and efficient. You don't need to worry so much about them being in your face or slowing down your device. Android in itself is a very secure operating system. There are some holes and leaks and potential risks with it being open, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of ways to protect yourself as well. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you all in the next video.